If you speak fluent English, you can already understand so much French without even having to have studied it. I'm sure you can guess what this sentence means, even though it is completely in French.
La famille célèbre une tradition importante.
This is because English adopted around 30% of its vocabulary from Latin and 30% from French, which of course is a language derived from Latin. And with a few tricks, we can very easily convert all of this vocabulary to French, since French is essentially modern Latin. These tricks will give us a vocabulary of thousands of words in French with very little effort. Then we just have to fill in the gaps of the words that English didn't adopt, and you will be conversant in French in no time. And by the end of this lesson, you will already be able to read a story, so stick around for that. Let's go! The first conversion is very easy because TION words in English remain the same in French. They're just pronounced a little differently. For example, information becomes
Information. Information.
Remember to repeat after the speaker and try to copy the pronunciation. Can you think of any other TION words? How about education? What do you think that becomes in French?
Éducation. Éducation.
Now in English, we can convert words like information and education into verbs just by changing the endings. We have to inform and to educate. French is just as easy. We change
Information.
to
Informer.
and
Éducation.
to.
Éduquer.
We just remove TION and add ER. This is the dictionary form, or infinitive form. Here is our first sentence in French.
Le professeur narre. Le professeur narre.
Did you figure it out? The professor narrates. Be sure to repeat in the pause provided. We have
Narration.
which becomes,
Narrer.
and then we drop the R for the third person.
Narre.
And how would we say the professor educates?
Le professeur éduque. Le professeur éduque.
Now, have you ever noticed that the word fiancé sometimes has two E's? The version with one E is the masculine version, and an E is added to form the feminine version. If this is your first foreign language, you might be a little confused by word gender, but it's not anything super complicated. If a noun is masculine, we use
Le.
for the, and if it's feminine, we use.
La.
It's a little annoying that they sound so similar. Most nouns ending in E are feminine, though there are exceptions. But if
Professeur.
is a teacher that is male, what would we call a teacher that is female?
Professeur.
The pronunciation is exactly the same, only the spelling changes. This is something that occurs a lot in French. Now try to work out how to say, the male professor observes. Start from
Observation.
and try to find the verb.
Le professeur observe. Le professeur observe.
We went from
Observation.
to.
Observer.
Just think about how many French words you know now after learning that simple rule. Try to say architect now, but make it sound French and refer to a female architect.
Architecte. Architecte.
Pretty easy, right? And do you know the word for one in French?
Un.
And the feminine form is.
Une.
The pronunciation is annoyingly similar again. And since architect already has an E, it has the same form for both genders. Say one architect, referring to a female.
Une architecte. Une architecte.
Now, say one architect when referring to a male.
Un architecte. Un architecte.
But both of these can mean one architect or an architect, just like in English. Now, the word for is in French is
Est. Est.
pretty easy to remember, right? Referring to a female, let's try to say the architect is a professor.
L'architecte est une professeure. L'architecte est une professeure.
Another secret trick we can utilize is that in English we have lots of adjectives that end in al, and this al ending is derived directly from Latin, so a lot of these words are exactly the same in French. The only difference is that some words change to el instead of al, like the word professional. So referring to a male, let's try to say, the architect is professional.
L'architecte est professionnel. L'architecte est professionnel.
These al adjectives add an e in the feminine form, so how would we say the female professor is normal?
La professeure est normale. La professeure est normale.
Now we're going to read a short story to show just how much you already know and how much you have learned in just one lesson. And you'll also get a sneak peek at some of the secrets we will learn in the following lessons to increase your vocabulary even more. See if you can understand this story, and then I'll show the translation.
L'artiste célèbre crée une magnifique sculpture pour la galerie. Le public et les critiques analysent les détails et applaudissent l'innovation. Tout le monde admire les couleurs et la créativité.
Did you understand everything? If not, here's the translation. The famous artist creates a magnificent sculpture for the gallery. The public and critics analyze the details and applaud the innovation. Everyone admires the colors and creativity. You see, with just a couple simple rules, we unlocked hundreds if not thousands of words in French, with which you can already begin to speak. And there will be more secret tricks like this in the following lessons, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos. And if you'd like to support the channel so I can continue these lessons and do the same for other languages, then stop by Patreon where you will also be able to find other study and listening material.